in the power of vulnerability. Oh, but being vulnerable may mean to you placing yourself in harm's way or in an undesirable situation. Yet the type of vulnerability we're referring to is an emotional openness leading to self-understanding. In the science of mind, one of our core concepts is wholeness, right? Now, wholeness doesn't just include the things we love about ourselves or are proud of or our great experiences. Wholeness also includes those parts of us that we'd rather hide. Those experiences in our life that we'd rather not have, and all the messiness in between. Yes, this is all part of wholeness. And without this understanding of wholeness, vulnerability and self-understanding can't be possible. So wholeness creates a container for us to step into and live our most authentic life. Wholeness is actually big enough for all of it. So the more we can make friends with all parts of us, know when to let go and move on, the more we can begin to explore our ability to let into our lives those aspects of ourselves that actually enrich us. So my topic today is letting go, let go and let in. Letting go and letting in. It's often easier said than done, right? So this aspect of vulnerability invites us to loosen our grip and to open to the possibilities that await us in our life. Let go. Let go. Just let go. Now what? What if we are vulnerable and face those parts of us that are just below the surface that we may not like? Maybe it's time to let go of an old pattern, belief, or behavior, addiction. Think about it in your own life. What could you let go of right now? What might not be serving you anymore? And these are like weeds, aren't they? Weeds. Which reminds me, in my book, The Mind Gardening Handbook, I talk a lot about weeds. And anybody who's ever had a garden or knows about a garden, whether it's a flower garden or a vegetable garden, you got to pull the weeds out in order to plant the seeds to have something grow. So it's just like in the garden of our mind. We have to pull those weeds of old things so that we can plant new thoughts and ideas. Which reminds me, this Saturday I'm teaching a workshop on this book. There's some flyers over there. It's in Auburn. If you're interested, it's on Saturday from 2 to 4. So I had an opportunity the last couple weeks to actually do some weeding outside. Has anybody else been weeding in their yards? Even those little ones. So we have this path that goes up to our front door, and on the side of it is this rocky area. And so every day, almost every day, I take my little sit-upon and I go out and I sit on the ground and put my garden gloves on and I slowly pull these little weeds one at a time. They're not those big kind that just, they come out. You have to be gentle sometimes with weeds, don't you? But it's so satisfying. But I'm patient, and I take half an hour, I just do a little bit every day, and I make my way down the path. And my sweet husband said to me the other day, wow, you've just done that whole path already. And I looked back, and it was all cleared of weeds. And then yesterday, I saw some sprouting up again. So it's a constant thing about checking our thinking too, right, isn't it? So to me, it's like creating an inner alchemy when we use our spiritual practices. And what is alchemy? You know what it is. It's the process of transforming one thing into another. And inner alchemy is the process of our inner consciousness transforming our outer experience. So I have an interesting story. For many, many years, I taught yoga full time. I was a yoga teacher. And my tagline for Grace Yoga was inner evolution, outer transformation. I found that cool tagline years ago, and I thought, wow, that's a great tagline. I didn't really know what it meant. This was way before I was involved in metaphysics and the science of mind and religious science teachings. But I thought it was a cool tagline, so I used it. And then over the years, I began to study metaphysics, the science of mind. I studied more. I became aware of my thoughts. I became a licensed prayer practitioner. I became a minister. I kept going, studying and studying. I became a life coach. But I kept that title. I kept that tagline. Now is with my life coaching, inner evolution, outer transformation. Grace inspired instead of grace yoga, because I don't teach yoga as much anymore. But now I have a totally different concept of what that means. Inner evolution, outer transformation. It's what we teach here. Duh, right? It has to start from our inner consciousness, our awareness. So now I can't believe I had that tagline for 30 years, not knowing what it was, and it led me to where I am now. How cool is that? I was stunned when I remembered that. It was like, oh my gosh. So our consciousness, which is our focused awareness, impacts our experience in life. And we know that here. That's what we study. And I believe that we're each powerful beyond measure, that we each have the opportunity to apply that inner alchemy. But the thing is, we're already inner alchemists because our thoughts are already impacting our experiences. That's the way the universe works. So how are you doing? How are your results? And I say that with a deep sense of love and appreciation, not to beat ourselves up, but to just have that moment of, oh yeah, I could change my thought about this. I often say to my clients, if you could have a new thought today about that condition, what would it be? Sometimes it's as simple as that. So the good news is we can do it differently. We can do it on purpose. We can focus our consciousness on purpose so that it impacts our life in a positive way. Who would like that? Right. So a true alchemist uses the power of their inner alchemy to establish a deeper connection with spirit. Not just getting a better job or a better bank account or better health, but that connection to that source within us. And that creates that inner peace and inner availability of something greater. So are you willing to pull some weeds and let go of something? And I do know it's really helpful to have support for this. I have been a life coach for many years, but I've also had my own coaches and spiritual counselors throughout my career. And I have to say, I couldn't be here right now if I didn't have that support behind me. And I still do call my practitioner. As we know, as practitioners, we're still doing the work. So never hesitate to reach out and get support from someone, either here or elsewhere, to help you move forward in consciousness. So I have a sweet little story I want to share with you. And it's from Hank Wesselman, who was an American anthropologist and spiritual author, from his book called The Bowl of Light. It's a well-known Hawaiian story that refers to a bowl of light as told by an elder, Hawaiian elder he befriended called Makua. After a long afternoon of conversation, he says, peppered with humor and goodwill, Makua presented me with a gift, a beautiful wooden bowl. This is your bowl of light, he said. Each of us comes into the world from the great beyond with our bowl of light. A gift from our Amakua, or our higher self. We Hawaiians know this light is conveyed into us with our first breath, what we call the ha breath, the divine breath of life. This light resides within us, nourishing and sustaining us as we pass through life, until it returns to its source at life's end. Makua considered the bowl thoughtfully. Whenever we step into negative polarity, however, whenever we injure others through our deeds, our words, or our thoughts, it's as though we put a stone in our bowl and some of our light goes out. Slowly, as our bowl fills with stones, our light dims until it is nearly out and gone. Resentment, unforgiveness, fear, worry, hatred, animosity, anger, upset. Hopefully, he says, we discover this before it turns dark and our light goes out. And you know what we do then? We turn the bowl over, we dump it out. He laughed, he laughed, he laughed. We start over then. But from that time forward, things are different. It is then, he said, that we begin to live our lives with greater awareness, and it is then we begin to walk our path toward the luminous wisdom of our destiny, our bowl of light. So I believe that what we teach here in the Science of Mind, that behind all of our fears, doubts, and worries, there is that light. We know this. There's an eternal guide of good that's ever available. So are you willing to make it a practice to just let go and dump out the bowl of negativity?
Yes.
So we are. And commit again to your faith, to your trust in the greater good. Yeah. Be careful, Alan, when you walk up here. You don't want to trip yourself. All that negative stuff. So once we let go, we want to then let in. So let in what? Let in what? Well, I believe letting in something very obvious. See if you agree with this. And this is from the Science of Mind textbook. Ernest Holmes talks about, in Romans, the Bible, 12:2, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. I'm sure we've all heard that. Today, he says, we know what this means. The renewing of the mind is a scientific act. As the conscious thought pours truth into the subjective channels of creative energy, the body is automatically renewed. This is mental healing. Mental healing is a conscious act as well as an established fact in the experience of many people. Instead of the old concepts of disease and failure, we can interject those of liberty, freedom, health, harmony, and success. Mental healing is subject to the exact laws of mind and spirit and is accomplished by correct knowing. Correct knowing. This knowing is a mental attitude toward the truth, with a capital G. It is the truth which makes free, and it is the mind which knows the truth. The body is healed as the inner mind is transformed. As the old and false images of thought are renewed by images of truth and life. The process through which this renewing takes place is a conscious one and can be practiced by anyone who understands the principle involved. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's the whole lesson. And even in Ephesians, he goes on to say, and this is all in the Science of Mind textbook, mine's getting kind of ratty, we are told to be renewed in mind by the Spirit and to put on the new person which is created in true holiness. The Science of Mind teaches how to accomplish this. The mind is the creative factor within us, and when the mind takes its pattern after the Spirit, it automatically renews the outer person after true wholeness and holiness. So what does all that mean? It means that when we renew our mind to the truth of who we are, we're whole. Life moves in a different energy, a different way. It goes back to inner evolution, outer transformation, doesn't it? Renewing our mind is an inside job. So that, I think, is what we want to let in. That consciousness, that Christ consciousness, that divine, deep connection to spirit. So the great Michael Bernard Beckwith said, as the alchemist of our own life, find a little bit of the frequency that you want to experience and place your attention there. Pray from there. Affirm from there. Proclaim from there. Decree from there. Announce from there. And ultimately, as it becomes your perception of how you see life, live from there. He says, as you wake up and come to a greater harmony of who and what you truly are, blessings begin to flow in your life. But understand this, blessings are always flowing. The blessings of the Spirit are always happening, but it's our receptivity to the blessings that are becoming more amplified. So we have to have that recognition, that receptivity. I mean, think about it. I've said this before, but what would your life look like if your choices and decisions were made from the Most High mountaintop consciousness? Think about that. What would your life look like if that's where you came from, moment by moment? I know I'm not there all the time, but I sure am aware of that I'd like to be there. How about you? The universal presence through the law responds to our dominant thought. It responds to our vibration that we hold on a regular basis. So Michael Beckwith says, if you want real change and real transformation to take place in your life, your vibrational address must change. Your address must change. So what kind of signal are you sending out? You know, Ernest Holmes is famous for his little tagline, change your thinking, change your life. I remember seeing something at a realtor's office that said, change your address, change your life. It's the same thing. In pure spirit, I live, move, and have my being. That's something that reconnects me when I forget. In pure spirit, I live, move, and have my being. When I say that, I feel a vibration that's much more powerful than my little worried mind. In pure spirit, I live, move, and have my being. Let's say that together. In pure spirit, I live, move, and have my being. Let's say it again. In pure spirit, I live, move, and have my being. Just be willing to open to that idea. Because that's the context we want to live from, practice from, pray from, vision from. That in that place of pure spirit, I am standing in the feeling tone of possibility. There's nothing better than that. So a reminder that we don't have to know how to make something good or different and change happen, but we have to make it welcome through our vibration, through our thinking, so that we do stand in that feeling tone of possibility. Are you willing to stand in the feeling tone of possibility for something greater in your life?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. In pure spirit, I live, move, and have my being. Let go and let in. So I'm grateful to just point out 3 things that I want you to carry today. And we also have gold nuggets, which I forgot to mention, but I know you all know that. Number 1 is to let go. Pull those weeds. Be gentle. But get them out by the root as best you can. Number 2, create an inner alchemy. An inner place for that transformation to happen. And number 3, let in. Let in spirit. Let in spirit in your life and open to the greater possibilities. So let's take that into prayer. How good it is to just take a moment of quiet stillness, opening our heart to that receptivity, knowing in pure spirit we live, move, and have our being. I recognize the omnipresence, omnipotence, and omniscience of the one power, one source, one infinite loving presence. Right here, right now. Knowing there is a power for good in the universe, and we are open to using it. Use me, oh God, use me as a vessel of peace, as a vessel of harmony, as a vessel of wholeness. So I'm knowing and claiming today